Assalamu alaikum and a very warm welcome to you. Have you ever really stopped to think about what makes a community stick together? I mean, truly last, not just for a few years, but for generations? Well, in this explainer, we're going to unpack a pretty remarkable blueprint from the Quran for building just that. A strong, a unified, and a purposeful community, one that's designed to endure pretty much any challenge thrown its way. So where do we even begin? I mean, how do you build something from the ground up that can handle division from the inside and all kinds of pressure from the outside? The vision we're exploring today is honestly so powerful, and it argues that the whole thing starts with the most essential building block of all, you, the individual. See, before any group can come together, the foundation has to be solid within each and every person. This blueprint tells us that the real bedrock isn't some group charter or a long list of rules. Nope. It's something way more profound, way more personal. It's that conscious, living relationship that each individual builds with God. And this, right here, this is the starting point. Verse 102, it's a direct command, a call to every believer to develop this deep awareness of God. And, just as importantly, to hold on to that state of faith and submission for their entire life, right up to the very end. Now, at the heart of all this is a really core concept, taqwa. It's often translated simply as fear, but honestly, it's so much richer than that. A better way to think of it is as a state of profound God consciousness, this constant, full awareness of God's presence that actually shapes how you think, how you feel, and what you do. It's like the internal compass that guides every single believer. Okay, so once that personal foundation is set, how do you scale it up? How do all these different people, each with their own internal compass, come together to form one single resilient community? Well, verse 103 gives us this incredible metaphor of the rope of Allah. Just picture a lifeline thrown down to all of humanity. This rope, well, it's understood to be the Qur'an, the teachings of the Prophet, Islam itself, and the instruction is crystal clear. Everyone has to grab on to the same rope together. Because if you let go, or if everyone starts pulling in different directions, that's when you get division and weakness. And look, this wasn't just some nice theory. This was real life. The very people who first heard this verse, the Aus and Khazraj tribes in Medina, had been locked in decades of brutal, bitter warfare. But holding on to this new rope of a shared faith, it didn't just stop the fighting. It completely, miraculously transformed these enemies into actual brothers. The blueprint also has a really critical warning built into it. It cautions the community, hey, don't make the same mistakes that other nations have made. Don't be like those who, even after they received clear guidance, let themselves split apart into different sects and factions. The message is pretty clear. Real lasting unity comes from sticking to the divine source, not from breaking off into different groups. So once you have this community of individuals all united, all holding onto that same rope, what's next? Is unity the end goal? Not even close. It's actually the launching pad for a much bigger mission in the world. According to verse 110, being called the best nation or the best community, well, that's not some passive title you just get to have. It's a job description, and it's something you have to earn and maintain through these three active responsibilities: upholding your faith, actively promoting what is good, and actively standing against what is wrong. And that right there, that's the real essence of what it means to be an ummah. It's not just a passive identity. It's a proactive, global community that is bound together by a clear mission to be a force for good in the world for all of humanity. Of course, no community exists in a vacuum, right? So the blueprint also gives some really crucial practical advice on how this ummah should interact with the wider world, especially when it's facing misunderstanding or even hostility. Verse 118 gives this really clear-eyed warning. It basically advises believers to be smart, to be discerning about who they bring into their inner circle as their closest confidants. It's a pragmatic step to protect the community's safety and its integrity from people who might be hiding some pretty bad intentions. But, and this part is so important, the blueprint immediately balances that word of caution with a crucial clarification. This is absolutely not a blanket judgment against everyone. The Quran goes out of its way to say that among other faiths, the people of the scripture, there are deeply sincere, righteous people who are upright and devoted in their own way. So this all leads to a really vital question. When this community is facing plots or envy or just outright hostility, what is its ultimate defense? The blueprint's answer isn't about politics or military might. It's something much, much deeper. It's spiritual. And here, you can see how it all comes full circle. Verse 119 reveals the community's divine shield, and it's made of two powerful ingredients: patient endurance, especially when you're being provoked, and that foundational concept we started this whole thing with, taqwa, that true God consciousness. I mean, just let that sink in for a second. That is a powerful, powerful statement. It's saying that the community's ultimate protection isn't found in worldly power, but in its spiritual character. With patience and with taqwa, the verses say, any plot from the outside is basically made harmless because the community is under God's direct protection. And this entire journey, from individual faith to collective unity to this patient resilience, it all leads to this moment on the day of judgment. It's a day when your inner reality, your true faith or your hypocrisy, is made external for everyone to see. It's symbolized by faces that are shining with a light of joy and honor, or faces darkened by disgrace and regret. And so this ancient blueprint, built on individual consciousness, collective unity, a noble purpose, and this incredible spiritual resilience, it feels just as relevant today as it must have all those centuries ago. And it leaves all of us with a pretty profound question to think about. In our own lives, in our own communities, in this modern, often fractured world, what is the rope that we are holding on to?